And I was always a bit reluctant to tell people about what I'm doing and give people the split, but it's a formula that works. So what we do is we charge 25% of the accommodation rate to our property owners. So the property owners know that they're getting 75% of the Airbnb payout.
This is episode number 30 of the Short-Term Rental Success Stories podcast. Welcome back to Short-Term Rental Success Stories. I'm your host, Julian Sage. This is a show where I talk to hosts about their journeys in starting and growing their short-term rental business. My goal is that you'll be able to walk away with practical information that'll help you become a better host and learn how to scale your business. Like any exceptional host, we all strive for 5-star reviews, so please go on over to iTunes and let us know what you enjoy, as it really helps support the show. If you haven't done so already, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation, to connect with the community. So 30 episodes, Host Nation. That's 30 weeks. 30 weeks we have been doing this podcast, and I just want to give a few little highlights because I'm really proud. I'm really proud of the community that we've built up. We just reached over 1,000 members in the Host Nation family. That is wild. In 6 months, a little bit over 6 months, we've built up this just awesome community, and we're getting so many people in it. We started Vacation Rental Machine. Again, like I mentioned in the last episode, it's a new show that we rolled out with John Bell, and we have a lot of episodes on there. We're at like 25 episodes. We've been doing 2 episodes a week. That one is just rolling out. We're just putting out so much content and trying to provide as much value as we can. So thank you if you haven't listened to that with John Bell and I. That is a great show. It's very actionable, very action oriented. So very, very awesome, really good content. This show, I love it. It's just so fun speaking with so many awesome people like our guest today, Julie George. But I definitely wanted to talk about some of the highlights because this is 30 weeks that we've been doing this. We've reached some awesome numbers. You know, there are other shows that are in the space that have been around for years, and they are such awesome shows. Really, really good shows. There's, Get Paid for Your Pad with Jasper, and then Vacation Rental Success with Heather Bear. Those two have been podcasting they have like over 300 episodes each, and so we're still a new podcast, guys, but we are doing awesome. We have over 39 reviews. So many of you, like everybody that leaves a review, they also leave a comment, a message, which is really sweet. I love reading those. It definitely makes my day, guys. So if you haven't done so, because we are a new show and we're going for it, we're going to try to become the number 1 rated short-term rental podcast. I would love for us to become the number 1. And that's saying a lot because there are some really awesome podcasts out there, but I feel with this community that we are just a really tight-knit. We're very engaged. We're a very positive atmosphere, all about helping people and helping people grow and highlighting their successes. So definitely in the community, join that, leave a review. That would mean so much. Another big announcement is that in the last episode, I was talking about a little surprise about what John and I have been doing. So we are actually starting a property management company that is going to be a little bit more across the US. And we're working with property managers. So if you're a property manager and you're looking to maybe take on a few more clients, that is definitely something that we can do. Go to cohost and then cohostit.com is a new site that we recently put up. We're offering full service property management, and we're providing a lot of cool extra little features in here. Some more services that will really make it more of a hands-free experience. So if you're listening to this show and maybe you don't have the time, maybe you don't want to, scale this as a full-time business, then we can definitely assist you with that. Co-Host It is a full service management where we're going to be doing like direct booking page, having cleaners, we can purchase the amenities, do linen service. We're trying to do like everything to make it as completely hands-free so that all you have to really do is, find a property, and then you work with us and we can actually help you like furnish it, because we do have an interior designer that can go out there or, just take the measurements, furnish the place. So this is really for the people that are looking to, maybe if they have properties that they're looking to, better optimize and have us manage, then we can do that. Or if you're a new investor and you have the capital and you're looking to get into the space, to maximize your revenue, then we can definitely help you there. We're working with property owners, investors, people that are already managing properties. So we're looking to provide like a whole service to people, and we're not taking on anybody. This isn't just like some of those property management companies that will take any property under the sun. We're a little bit more selective because you're working with an advisor, you're working with someone one-on-one to help you scale a business. So this isn't for the people that, just want to pick up any random property that's, in the slums or anything and then just, try to make money off of it. No, because we're trying to fit everything within our brand. We only want to take on certain properties at the moment. Maybe as we grow, that might change. But right now, we are just aiming at working with people, one-on-one investors, people that are serious, that want to have a little bit more handhold and not be very involved in the business, but still want to be a part of the short-term rental business. Then definitely go check that out. We have a cool referral program. We're also offering services to other hosts. So if you're a host and you're looking to maybe take on some more properties yourself, we do need local people, local managers to be able to help with the stuff that we might not be able to get to. So if you're a cleaner, if you're a concierge, if you're into staging, photography, anything like that, then we also have a service providers tab. You can fill in an application. It's the co-hosted partner program, and we'll provide you with free leads, and you can actually work with us, and there is a split with that. So some really cool stuff, guys. I'm very excited for this new program that we're rolling out. So definitely check that out. Check it out if you're interested in having your property managed, or if you're just curious and you want to see what the site and what we're offering. But I think it goes really well with today's episode with Julie George. So today I had the honor of speaking with Julie George. Julie is a rock star based out of Cairns, Australia. And over the course of 3 years, Julie impressively built up a portfolio of over 120 listings through co-hosting, bringing in up to $550,000 a month. That is mind-blowing. Julie recently sold her management company, Host My Home, to a larger conglomerate, Hometime, for over 7 figures. Julie's now working as a consultant for property managers, promoting her new book, $1 Million Hosts, which you can see in the description, and sharing way too much information that I'm surprised hasn't gotten her into trouble yet. So she shares a lot of information in this episode, guys. And even as we've been messaging back and forth, I'm just like, Julie, I don't think you should be telling me this stuff. This is a little bit too much. But she was just like, hey, I have nothing to lose now. Like, she's doing this thing. She's just, talking, sharing information. So I said, okay, I respect that, Julie. But in this episode, Julie shares her strategies on identifying gaps in the market, her super unique way of scaling a co-hosting business, and just a lot more. So definitely, this is an awesome episode. I'm super glad that this is our episode number 30, because I think that it summarizes like our accomplishment, that, our first $1 million host, such an awesome person on the show. Definitely, if you'd like my show notes for this episode, go to shorttermsage.com/STR30. Or if you like my show notes sent directly to your inbox every week, then go to shorttermsage.com/show notes. With all that being said, on to this week's conversation. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Short-Term Rental Success Stories. In this episode, I have the special honor and privilege of speaking with Miss Julie George. Julie, if you please wouldn't mind introducing yourself, letting the audience know a little bit more about who you are and what inspired you to get into short-term rentals.
Sure. Thanks, Julian. I really I'm honoured to be on your show today. I guess I should say g'day from Australia. Look, I'm based in Australia, and I have got a short-term rental property management company, or I should say I did up until a month ago when I sold, but that's a whole part of the piece of the story that we'll talk about today. And of course, I've also written a book, and I hope you don't mind my shameless plug here, but it's $1 Million Host. It's a story about what I've done, how I got to where I am with the Airbnb market, and basically gives tips and advice for anybody looking to create a business on the back of the sharing economy. So, but yeah, really excited to talk to you today and to the audience.
So what got you first started? I saw in the notes that you started in 2016, November 2016. So
yeah,
basically,
not even 3 years ago.
Very
so not
early.
Even 3 years ago.
And you've scaled up to 120 properties before you sold it. So, but what started all of this before you got so large and decided to sell?
So I guess 3 years ago, I'd heard the buzzword of Airbnb. I thought I wanted to find out what the phenomenon was all about. I had a one-bedroom apartment in Cairns. So we're in far north Queensland, near the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. And I have a one-bedroom apartment that was bringing in $240 a week. My long-term tenant decided to move. The property was already furnished, and I thought, well, to try Airbnb, I just need to put the power on and get the power sorted, and then get, of course, Wi-Fi on and put some linen in the property. Did that, listed it on Airbnb, and went from $240 a week to $600 a week. Now, that just blew me out of the water. It was consistent. The guests were fantastic. I was able to use my own property, and it suddenly dawned on me that there could be an opportunity here to make a business out of this and help others, other budding property investors, make some really good money and have a really positive experience out of their rental properties. So that's where it all sort of, got started.
And what were you doing before that kind of led you to hosting your first home?
Sure. So I was working as a real estate agent, a sales agent and broker in Australia. Our real estate market was very flat. So there wasn't. So every day I was dealing with investors who were frustrated. They weren't making enough money. They couldn't sell for a profit, and a lot of them were coming to me saying, "Find me a great investment. Find me a cash flow positive investment." Of course, I couldn't do that. There weren't any out there. But I did say, look, I can create one for you. We can go and find a property that you would like to holiday in yourself, vacation, and then, of course, we can actually furnish it, and I'll charge you a fee. We can then manage it, and I'll charge you a fee. And, of course, and then you just have to sit back in your luxury apartment down in Sydney or wherever you live, and, of course, we will just pay you once a month with the income that comes in from Airbnb. So that's how it really got started. But I was working in real estate sales, formerly advertising. I guess my first job ever was feeding crocodiles in Kakadu in the Northern Territory. So anybody who's seen Crocodile Dundee, that's me, the female version.
That is very Australian of you.
Yes.
Very Australian. Okay. But very cool. So you actually were able to leverage your network and your experience. And is that how you kind of scaled up your business? What was the challenge of starting and scaling after you kind of caught on to this business model?
Yeah, that was probably one of the trickiest parts of growing the business, was knowing when I needed help. So I needed to realize that I couldn't do everything. I couldn't go out and get the properties, furnish the properties, clean the properties, and repeat that process without getting a bunch of very good people on board. So I really had to, I remember at one stage I was doing 17 beds that I'd made in one day. And so it was hard work. It was really hard work. But then I had to say, right, I need some help. I then decided to take a step back, not only in work hours, but also in income. So you had to really recognise that, yes, you have to take a step back to then move forward. And I was able to put more and more people on. And you'll see the whiteboard up behind me. That's just half of my team that I've got in Cairns. We've got about 18 people that are out there helping. And I wouldn't be able to do this on my own, for sure.
So when did this kind of turn from just like Julie managing a few properties to Julie just like running this major organization?
It didn't take long. It didn't take long at all. I think it was probably me doing it on my own for, it would have only been a maybe 6 or 8 week period. Once word got around and once people realised what I was doing, I had so many people coming and knocking on my door or phoning and wanting our assistance that I actually reached out. First of all, I put on a mum. She had a couple of school-aged children. She just wanted to work 10 to 2 every day, which was our busy period. She did a lot of the cleaning for me. Then I found another gentleman that had finished his career. He was actually 70, so he wasn't a spring chicken, but he was at the end of an advertising sales career. He wanted something new. He wanted to be his own boss, essentially. And I said, well, if you've got a mop and a bucket and come and give me a hand. So I essentially then built a property portfolio that I was able to give to Glenn, and Glenn then has basically taken ownership of those properties. He does everything from messaging the guests. So I'm a primary host on Airbnb. He is my co-host. He messages the guests. He meets the guests in person. So that's one of the other things that we do very stringently, that we must meet in person. We must eyeball that guest. He meets them. He looks after them during their stay, cleans the property or gets a cleaner to help him, and he also reports any maintenance through. So he was probably my first person that I was able to say, Glenn, here's a business that I'm going to give to you. Here's 12 properties that you're in charge of, And of course, then I paid him a set fee plus a commission. So he was able to, that enticed him to be able to keep the guests longer, respond to those inquiries very quickly, but also get out there and find new properties as well.
Now, in order for you to be able to pass on those systems that you already had in place, I imagine that, this one person that you did tag on, it would have to kind of be within the same kind of area. What was it just because you had these properties in this particular area that you were able to do that? Or what if you had multiple properties in different areas and not enough to just kind of pass it on to someone else?
Yeah, so interesting question there. I guess originally it started that I just had so many properties that I couldn't take them all on board myself, so I put Glenn on. We now cover an area in the Cairns region, our city region. Probably it's about it might be about 50 miles from one end to the other. And what I do now is each person that I have working for me actually has a set location. So I have somebody on the beaches, I have somebody up in the mountains, and it makes it easier for them if they don't have to travel too far to help those people. It's really convenient too. So it's so that's what we look at now: locality and where people want to be.
And what's your vetting process when you are taking on these clients or these people that are going to be working with you?
Working with us? Well, in fact, I'm actually looking for 2 more now. So if anyone wants to move to Australia, give me a call because I'm, you ready, Julian? I've got work for you. So we've actually just had such an influx of properties in the last week or two that we have looked at it. Actually, everything in red that you can see up behind me are brand new properties that we haven't even put officially on our list. So lots of new properties. And the vetting process, oh gosh, so that's evolved over the years. It used to be if you've got 2 legs and a heartbeat, I would take you in. Now I'm looking for a little bit more. I'm looking for people with cleaning experience. So essentially the best type of people that I can find to teach them about Airbnb and hosting would be cleaners. So cleaners, whether they're commercial cleaning, residential cleaning, but anybody who has a real eye for detail, who is an entrepreneur who would like to build their business a little bit more and maybe step out of what they're currently doing. If they're self-employed, fantastic, because they've already got some ideas, but I'm just going to be able to help them a little bit more, learn about Airbnb, and then from there be able to mentor them to that next level. So cleaners, they must have a car, they must have a smartphone, they must be able to use the technology because that's the biggest, the way that we're communicating with our guests. But they must be friendly and they must be welcoming. So they must have a big smile on their face.
Now, Julie, I think that is just so unique because it's something that I've never heard of. You're actually turning people from cleaners into, building their own kind of like businesses. Is that, and being in the property management space, is that something that is common? Because usually what happens is you'll get co-hosts, and then those co-hosts usually will have cleaners that they'll hire out, but you're kind of going the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. So I figure if I can give ownership to the people that are working for me and give them something to work towards, so if I can mentor them to grow a small business under mine, very similar to a franchise, but not all the legal mumbo jumbo that goes with it. So it's a business-to-business relationship that we would have. But if I can grow them, and then of course they can employ people under them. So just like you said, so they may not be able to help. They may not be able to service all the properties just themselves. They may take on casual cleaning staff. That's fine. But the beauty to me is I don't have to worry. They can actually go off and do that themselves and be responsible for those properties. So it's just a business model that's actually worked beautifully for me. I can work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I don't have to do the midnight runs for somebody who's locked themselves out of the property. And I've got some really, really happy small business owners that work in conjunction with my business.
So it started with Julie managing a few properties, kind of got a little bit too much. You hired Glenn to take these properties from you, and he was a cleaner. You trained him on how to be hospitable, the operations of an Airbnb business. And then at that point, once you've kind of stepped away from working in the business and now you're working on the business, was that more building and networking and taking on more clients?
Yes, yeah, exactly, Julian. So we've actually, our office space here, we employ 4 people in the office, so administration, but we knew that, once again, to scale to the level that we are now, we couldn't, we had to really step back a little bit and let other people take that responsibility, give them the ownership. So each person that works for me has their portfolio of properties. Essentially, in the office here, our main aims are to market, find new properties to list. We also do consultations in here. So if anybody wants to come to us, mum and dad who want to do it themselves, we are happy to help them set up their own Airbnb. What we find, and we will do it for free, so we're happy to do this for free as a bit of a PR exercise. We find that quite often, after maybe a month or two of people doing it themselves, the novelty wears off and they will come back to us. So we do have a few little things here that we do, that we put in place, but we're doing a lot of the administration, we're doing a lot of the accounts, we put together the statements for the owners each month. We handle all the maintenance issues. So anything that with a plumber or an electrician, any issues that we have, we're out there handling that every day. I have a young lady, she's only 20 years old, she works in the office, and she has got her dream job. She takes my credit card shopping every week or every day, and she goes to buy homeware, she goes to buy new washing machines. She just is the envy of a lot of her friends because she gets to do all the shopping. But yeah, it's an interesting take on. Only 3 years ago, it was myself out there doing all the cleaning, meeting and greeting, doing the 24/7. Now I can scale that. I've worked it so that I can work just weekdays 9 to 5, have a life, and have a great team around me that can and help support.
Now I want to go back to that, the way that you've kind of structured your business, because it is so unique. What made you kind of take this approach from hiring cleaners and then training them rather than going co-host and then hiring contractors or like starting a cleaning company, which is what a lot of people do?
Yeah, so very good question. I guess I looked at risk. Risk was my main thing. What happens when Airbnb goes quiet or if we don't have enough income coming in? I wasn't prepared to hire a cleaner, be paying them a salary or a wage, and then have that risk of things not working out and me being responsible for that. So that was probably, to be honest, the first reason. The second reason was I've worked in businesses similar to what I'm doing now, where contractors are given the ownership, they're encouraged to build their own businesses. And I tell you what, the loyalty, the work ethic is just out of this world. When you do that and you can actually give responsibility and trust somebody else to work alongside you, it just comes back tenfold. So what I've got now is not people that are begrudgingly turning up on a Monday morning, hating their job, they're not getting paid enough, they don't want to be here. I've actually got people excited about getting an inquiry through on Airbnb. They're jumping on it in the middle of the night, which, my biggest issue is trying to make sure that they get enough sleep, that they have a holiday, that they take a break, because the money is quite attractive. And I do a very high split. So I'll actually pay these people extremely well. A lot of people actually will say to me, why are you paying your contractors so much money? But I can tell you, money talks. We're not here because of the love of cleaning toilets. We are here because it makes a very good income for both myself and the contractors, and in turn also the property owners. So it's a real win-win-win situation.
Now, with the co-hosting model, if you were managing that'd be around at 15%. And how does the split work when you are having someone that is basically taking on your product? So you're basically like a professional networker. You're networking. You're finding them the clients. You're passing it to them. What's the split on that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're asking me the hard questions now. Here comes out all my secrets. And I was always a bit reluctant to tell people about what I'm doing and give people the split. But It's a formula that works. So what we do is we charge 25% of the accommodation rate to our property owners. So the property owners know that they're getting 75% of the Airbnb payout. Now, that's really important. It has to be the payout figure. We all know that Airbnb changes their commissions, changes their fees, and sometimes it's 3% they'll charge, sometimes it's 3.5%. It's always a little bit fluctuating. So I will always word my documents and my fees that we will take 25% of the payout of Airbnb. And we also collect the cleaning fee. Now, the cleaning fee is based on $30 an hour on how long it would take to clean that property, plus do the laundry. So that's really important. So, and we can talk about that later if you like, but the laundry is included. So we collect the cleaning fee, we collect the Airbnb, we collect 25% of the Airbnb payout. So essentially it works out that we collect about 33% of the money that comes in from Airbnb is what the average works out to be. Now, what I pay out to my contractors, get your pens and paper ready, people, this is the secret. So I pay 6.6%. So we have a tax in Australia called GST. So otherwise it would just be 6%, but 6.6% goes to my contractors plus the whole cleaning fee. Okay, so what it ends up being is that I will end up with 18.4% on every accommodation booking that comes through. Now, with that 18.4% that our office collects, we pay for our staff in the office, we pay for the office, we also pay for the consumables. So we put in everything. We put in the toilet paper through to the tea, the coffee, the shampoos, conditioners. We actually make it very simple for our owners, and we have a keep it simple strategy where they are only looking at handing over the cleaning fee, which doesn't come to them anyway, cleaning fee plus 25%, and they don't have to worry about anything. But 25% coming in, 6.6 going to my contractors, cleaning fee just swings straight through to the contractors as well. 18.4% of every accommodation payout comes into my into the office.
Wow, so lots of ways that I kind of want to go with this. First that comes to mind is why aren't these contractors kind of like undercutting, or like, if they could collect that full, do it themselves. Why not?
Because it's not as easy as it looks. There is so much more behind the scenes than people realise. Now, look, I've written about a lot of that stuff in the book, and you can do it yourself. In Australia, and it will be different to all your listeners, and your audience will be in different parts of the world. In Australia, we have a very stringent government law over real estate. So if we're collecting money on behalf of anybody else, we need to run what's called a trust account, and it's highly regulated. It's audited every few months. We just had an audit 2 days ago. It felt like the school principal coming in. But what it means is that there's a lot of behind the scenes administration and counting. There's a lot of laws to uphold, and there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So as much as I'm making it sound very simple, there is a bit of hard work that goes on behind the scenes to get all the policies, the procedures, everything set up.
So do you feel that it would actually be easier, let's say like in the US, where they're not as strict on that? Do you feel that you could have scaled a lot easier, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I say absolutely, but then you do run the risk of your people that you're training up maybe going into competition with you. I don't know. I guess it would be different in every area.
Now, what's your secret sauce, Julie? Because getting these clients is always kind of a challenging part for hosts, co-hosts. How have you been able to grow this portfolio so rapidly?
Yeah. I guess in the beginning, I had to put a bit of money into traditional advertising. Now, we're talking magazines, maybe social media on Facebook, but really pushing the fact and getting that message out to the wider audience that we were offering these services. I guess I've got a background in marketing and advertising, so I knew that I had to get the message out there. But the other thing that I did, and it's worked very well, is to establish myself as the Airbnb expert in my region. Now, that meant that whenever there is a story on Airbnb, the local media will come to me. They will do interviews, and that's every week at the moment. We're just in the Cairns Post, the local newspaper. There's a story today about what we're doing and about how Airbnb is really kicking ass at the moment. So establishing yourself as the Airbnb expert in your area, then getting a really good website. You really need to be found online. So if somebody is Googling and looking for Airbnb property management, you've got to be there. You've got to be at the top. Now, if you've got competitors in your region, it might mean that you need to buy advertising specific Google AdWords or being able to get to the top of that list, but you just need to be there. You need to have unique content on your page. You need to have really good information, and you need to get those clicks on your website. So I combined all of those things, and now we actually don't do any traditional advertising. It's all through mediums like yourself, Julian, being able to talk to the wider audience, newspaper being able to promote us. I know from just the local newspaper running this story today, we will have phone calls coming in today of people that are interested. You know, they all want to, there's a lot of people out there that are interested in Airbnb, what it offers, but not a lot of people know where to start. So they're often looking for experts in the area to show them how to do it.
Now, is that why because with the co-hosting model, a lot of times it's you pay for the amenities, you pay for all of that, and you just manage the messaging, you manage the cleaners, you manage, all the operations. What's your reasoning behind paying for literally everything inside the unit as well?
Yeah, so I guess we pay we give a list to the owners. So when the owners first come on board, we want to make sure that we're on the same page. And that's so, so important to be on that same level as the owners, had the same expectations. But we will provide a list of all the amenities. So tea, coffee, shampoo, conditioners, that type of thing. But we actually do have a list of things we won't supply. So things like coffee pods, so many different coffee machines out there that we just can't. We will actually just say to the owner, we'll go and buy them, but then we will charge you from your income at the end of the month. My whole theory is to keep it really simple for the owners as well. So I don't want owners thinking that they're signing up and they're going to have to pay 25% commission. They're going to have to pay this fee, that fee. They're going to have to pay for their amenities. They're going to have to, that is a freaking nightmare. And as a property owner myself, if somebody starts bamboozling me with lots of fees and charges, I'm out of here. So I've kept it very simple. Everything's included, but you've got to make sure that you're charging enough. If you're going to run with the model that I'm talking about now, I originally tried it at 22%. It just didn't cut the mustard until I was able to get to 100 properties. Then it sort of paid for itself. So I've got to, if I had started again, if I could go back and give myself some advice, I would actually say start at 25%. You get what you pay for, and owners are happy to pay that if they know that they don't have to worry about anything.
And with the 25%, you're able to afford those amenities inside the unit?
Yeah, absolutely. And we I've got to say that one of the other things that I've learned over the last couple of years is you don't have to over-provide. We were doing things like putting individual bottled water in every property. One of my ladies that works for me actually said to me one day, that's not really very good for the environment. You really could put just a carafe of water in the fridge. You could save yourself some money. You could save the environment. And do you know what? She was right. We swapped over to just carafes of water. We haven't noticed any difference in our reviews. We haven't noticed any difference in the customer satisfaction. I have noticed a massive difference in my hip pocket. So we're saving hundreds of dollars a week by not supplying those bottled waters. So really, when you're thinking about what you are supplying to the guests, be reasonable. I mean, when I first started my 1-bedroom unit as well, I had a minibar, a full minibar of every soft drink you can imagine, chocolates, crisps, a whole bunch of, the guests would have loved it because, they had $20 worth of goodies in the snacks in the fridge. So you don't need it. You really just need to provide a really good accommodation, comfortable bed, provide what you're saying you're providing.
Now, going back, you brought up the reviews. With the reviews, how if you're passing this on to someone that has never managed properties before, never been in hospitality, they've just been cleaning, how do you make sure that they are able to keep your standards and keep that high rating?
We do a lot of training. So when somebody new comes on board as a co-host, we will train them up to our standards. So we will show them how we want the beds made, how we want the property presented, how the bathroom should be cleaned. If the beauty of it is with the reviews, we can very quickly find out if somebody is not doing the right thing. So if maybe 2 reviews in a row come through saying, there was the fridge was dirty and there was leftover food in the microwave. Well, we either need to go back to the training, we need to fix the training, or we need to maybe remove that property from that co-host. So the review system has actually provided an extra set of eyes for myself, but also for the property owners, just to reassure us that things are being done right in the property.
Do you have is it like a video training course, or are these all just like operating procedures that you kind of give them, or do they have like a test pilot properties that they're working with before you actually let them on their own to manage multiple properties, which is a lot, managing multiple properties can be a lot for someone that has never done this before.
Yeah, so we start off very slowly. So when somebody is to come on board with us, we will go out with them. I've got a couple of area managers now, so they will go out and they will actually do the standards training. So that might take 4 or 5 hours to go into an actual home that is being turned over for the next guest, and we will actually make the beds. We will run through what needs to happen in the kitchen, but then we get them to shadow the more experienced co-hosts. So they, for maybe 2 or 3 days, will go out side by side with another host and be able to see what the more senior co-hosts are doing, how they're managing their time, how they're coping with multiple properties. Because you're right, looking after one property is very different to looking after 5. And if you've got 5 back-to-back cleans and turnovers, far out, suddenly it becomes quite a logistical nightmare. So we will basically, with a new person, maybe just give them 3 properties to start with, and then we will monitor them and we will say to them, come in with your business plan on how you can cope with more properties. And then we will start saying to them so it's all done in person. It's all either done in the office here or out in the field. But we will say, okay, Julian, you want to now take on 10 properties. How are you going to go from 3 to 10? And how are you going to cope with the fact that they might all turn over on the same day? What will you do? And we will just sort of see if they're ready for it. If they're not ready, of course, it's very easy. We just take that off. So we're rewarding, or I don't want to say punishing, but we are working with the levels of the co-host and just making sure that they are happy as well, because it's not unusual for some of them to come back to me and say, look, you can see Liz, she's got 5 properties at the moment behind me here. So she's a mum, she's got some kids, and she has just gone back to university. And she has said to me, she had 8. She said, can you take 3 off me? And I would like a smaller workload. No problem. That's good.
And do you have contractors that have able to, utilizing cleaners and stuff like that, been able to build like their own like multi-unit kind of property management business?
Yeah, so quite a few of them have done very well. Right behind me, you'll be able to see there's a big list, and that belongs to a couple that work for me, and their names are Jackie and Ari. Now, Jackie and Ari, Jackie started off just on her own. She was a commercial cleaner at a university, at a college, and she came across to me wanting something different. So I gave her, I think we started with 3 properties with her. Now, she's been on board about 15 months with me now. Her husband liked what she was doing so much that he has come on board. her mother has joined them as part of the team as a cleaner, and their son, a teenage son, who probably hates this, but he gets to come along and do a lot of the cleans as well. But I can tell you that this couple have now, well, what they were earning before in their full-time jobs, they've probably tripled that money, that income. They are established, they've got their own little management company. We call it Mason Property Management. So we've given them a name, we've got them a logo, we've made sure that they know exactly, they've really built up to learn about hosting. Now, I know that I am probably running the risk of them maybe one day deciding to go off and getting a real estate license and then coming into competition. I've put some in the contract when they first sign up. We've got some non-compete clauses in there, so they are restricted to what they can do. But not only that, they know where their bread is buttered. They know that I'm constantly feeding them work. If they were to go off and do it themselves, there'd be a lot more work for them to do. So but essentially what they've done is they've built up a business now that is a saleable item. If they were to sell their business and I was to get along well enough with the new owners, boom, we just cross off the names up the top there, pop the new people on, and off they go.
This is crazy, Julie. You have franchised short-term rental management. That is wild. Wow, I'm very, very surprised. Why do you think nobody else has done this type of model before? Like, it's just so different.
I don't know. I think we're still such a new industry, Julian, that people are still trying to get their heads around how to operate and how to run. We are doing it very differently to a lot of others. A lot of other property managers will run with just employ cleaners and run in the fact that they're not going to do the personal meet and greet. You can let yourselves in, you can come and collect the keys. I don't like that. I still think that it is Airbnb guests and Airbnb travelers are wanting that personal experience. So yeah, we offer that. It has been such a successful model that I'm sure it won't. Well, and when people maybe watch your podcast today and your interview, that they may replicate it. And if anybody does and they need help, come and talk to me, because now that I've actually sold my business in the last 4 weeks ago. So I've now sold the business. We grew it to such a level that I had people coming and knocking on the door. My next step is to go out there and help others set up something similar. So I'm helping people all around the world. I've got a lady in Canada at the moment. I'm talking to people in Puerto Rico. I'm talking to people in New Zealand. So I'm happy to sort of give my secrets and my knowledge to others. Do it. There's enough work for everybody. We can all share it.
Now, I think that is a pretty unique thing, being in Australia, that you said that only people with a real estate license, like you have to have the certain types of background to be able to be a property manager for people's Airbnbs, but people can start their own Airbnbs themselves. They just can't help other people manage their properties.
Well, okay, so here's another little secret. What you could do, and my brain is always ticking. I've got a million ideas on how you can make money and how you could run this. If you didn't become a real estate agent, the other option is, so you only really need to be a real estate agent if the money is coming to you from Airbnb and you're holding that money on behalf of others. If you didn't, if Airbnb, and I may be letting the cat out of the bag. So Airbnb and we've been talking about maybe the whole idea of this, the split payments coming back in. So if that was to come back in, you could then pay your owners directly through Airbnb and you collect your portion from Airbnb. The other option is, if that doesn't happen, is that you may be able to just invoice so you set it up in your payouts in Airbnb that the owner of that property gets the money each month, and then you just invoice at the end of the month for your fees, your charges, and maybe any trades or any homewares that you've had to pay for. So there are different ways. I think what people have got to do is take the blinkers off, stop thinking there is only one way to run a management business. Take the blinkers off, think outside the square, and look at alternatives.
All right, Julie. So I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to drop you over in the U.S. If you were to restart and do this over in the U.S., what would be like your first steps in being able to scale this business?
Just find one property. All you need to do is just start. So you just need to find one person to trust you, give you that property, and get going. Okay, so do not overthink this. This is not rocket science. You just need a property to list on Airbnb that you can run the logistics for, and you can help not only yourself make money, help the property owner make money. Okay, we're all property owners are wanting a good return on their investment. If you can help them do that, word will spread very quickly, but you just need one.
Now, man, this is just so interesting, Julian. I'd love to maybe get you on another show, but I want to talk about transitioning and being able to sell off this business, because I know that that's really exciting, and I'm definitely curious. Being the first guest on the show to have built this up and then sell it, what is that process like with building up a management company and then selling it to somebody? How does that work?
Well, so I guess you've always got to go into a business or anything that you're doing, you really should be thinking of your exit strategy. Now, a lot of people don't. And when I'm talking about exit strategy, it could be for life as well. I mean, really, we should all be living our life as if, making the most of it, so that our exit, our funeral, people are going to say fantastic things about us, and we're going to have something that we've achieved. Putting it back into context with business, yes, I started this business because I could find that there was a niche in the market, there was an opportunity to make some money, but at the same time, I had to be realistic and go, what's my exit strategy? Do I want to do this forever? Do I love Airbnb so much that I want to be making beds forever? No, I'm sorry, I don't. That's the reality of it. Airbnb is wonderful, and it served its purpose in building up a fantastic business for me. But what my whole goal was to build up a traditional rent roll. So on my Airbnb profile, this is something that's different too. On my Airbnb profile, it has 120 properties on it at the moment, has 6,000 odd reviews. Last month we brought in $550,000 in income, which just blows me away. I know that's just like, so 550,000. So that is the value. That's the valuable item in my business. People want my Airbnb profile. Okay, so when I had this profile that was so well known, Airbnb head office, and we're talking about what Julie George was doing in Australia, people around the world started getting, finding out about the book and the story. It then caught the attention of a larger company. So this larger company, happy to tell you about it. The name of the company is Hometime. Hometime is an international company. Australia, they've got 10 locations in Australia, and they're also in New Zealand. They're about to go into South Africa and Israel. So they're looking worldwide. They are terrific. They're like my business. They're very similar model to my business, but they're on steroids. So they're huge, and they have over 120 employees. It's a big, big organisation. They found out about what I was doing. They wanted to come and base themselves in far north Queensland. However, they knew if they were to do that independently, they would be coming up against what I've already established. So I've got quite a big, strong market hold on people know who I am, what I'm doing up in North Queensland. They didn't necessarily want to come in and compete against that. So they actually came and knocked on the door and asked if I'd be interested in selling. When I asked them to show me the right amount of money, they came through. So they came through, and they were able to make me an offer that where I am now going to stay on as a shareholder of the company. So I still get to have a part in it. I'm able to help them grow their business and maybe promote their business like we are now. But it means that I can step away from, being the boss and being in charge of staff, being in charge and having that responsibility of 120 properties, because that's pretty scary. That's a bit daunting, having that level of responsibility and stress. So I guess selling the business, the next step is, of course, for me, being able to go out, promote the book, travel the world, help others set up their businesses. But it is like giving up your baby. You grow this business to a point where you're handing over the baby, but I've actually found some great adoptive parents.
I just think that that's wild, Julie. You had a baby that was spitting out like $500,000 in a month, and what is the difference though between what you've kind of built up and what this other company has built up? Like what would keep you from maybe scaling to as large as they have grown?
Yeah, very good question, and that was definitely on the cards. So we were looking at maybe replicating what we were doing in other areas, maybe Sydney, Melbourne, different areas of Australia. It's, I guess, what they came through with, and which is really exciting for me, is I feel like I've sort of built the business to one level, and they have got a lot more. They've got a lot more to offer in terms of technology. So they've got some brilliant apps. They've got some. They've developed this. This site where you can actually log in as an owner and be able to, as an owner, not see everything that we can see on Airbnb, because you just don't want owners. You don't want owners to involve themselves in that, and I've got to say that in the nicest possible way, because that's probably been the biggest headaches. I guess if you're ever doing the co-host model, you'll know the interference from owners who won't let you get on with the job is painful. So what they've designed is this amazing technology. Yes, owners can log in; they can basically see what's going on with their property and the income and the expenses, but only what you want them to see. They also have an after-hours call centre, and they have a virtual. Well, they've basically got some support networks in place, so that one of the problems I have with my model is that I have a lot of our co-hosts that just burn out. They don't take the time off. They don't get the sleep they need. They're so hungry for the money and to build their own little businesses that they forget to take care of themselves. So what we can do with Hometime now, they've set it up so that we can actually divert our phones. We can switch the messaging across to somebody who's going to work after hours. That person then takes control of all of the questions that come through, all the inquiries, helps with any guest problems. And it means that my guys are now going to be able to have a break. So I guess I don't have a great understanding of the technology that these guys have got. They also, they're just, I really like them. I think they're a terrific company. I think that these guys are going to have a far wider reach than what I have at the moment. And I tell you what, I couldn't be happier to join any other company than I have with Hometime.
Now, Julie, what about though? Because you set these systems and you put these people in place, is there not a way to be able to kind of like completely remove yourself, just like manage, just like oversight, and just had someone that could be another Julie that was doing what you were doing? Like, why give up like a $500,000 baby machine?
Yeah, good point. I guess everything's got its price. So when I did weigh that up, because the money is fantastic. I guess Airbnb property management is always a risk though, because who knows with world politics and what's going on. As much as I would love to think that we're going to continue this rise, nothing's ever guaranteed. So I guess I had to really weigh up and go, okay, I could be earning this $550,000 income on Airbnb, for the next 6 months, or the sky could fall in and something bad could happen. So I guess I really had to come up with a number. But it was about stress and lifestyle as well. So I really had to go, okay, what sort of lifestyle do I want to lead? And can't do it all. I have got some great people here that it's funny, all 4 girls in the office all do answer the phones as Julie, and they all pretend to be Julie. So there are a lot of single white female issues going on here. But I guess my passion too is to really promote the book, get out there and help people start up their own businesses. And I guess my goals have slightly changed. So the opportunity to sell the business, still keep my hand in the business as a shareholder and as a consultant, but to be able to now have the freedom to come across to America to help others set up, travel to Europe, there's so much exciting stuff out there that, really floats my boat. So I'm excited to help others.
Wow, Julie, I'm sure that we could just keep on talking and talking, but I know that you're very busy. You have another call coming up pretty shortly, but I just want to kind of wrap this up and kind of see if for someone that is maybe just starting off with the property management, and what would you say to someone that is fresh and trying to build up to something that they might be able to sell off in the future?
Yeah. So just do it is my first thing I'll say. Don't overthink it. You only need one property. So you just need to jump in. It does look daunting. You will make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I guess probably maybe have your policies and procedures in place first. So you want to really set the client expectations. When you're dealing with a property owner, you're taking on their house. That's a huge risk for them, and they're putting a lot of trust into you. You need to be on the same page when it comes to things like cleaning, replacing items that are broken, maintenance and repairs. Have a real think about what will happen with all of those things. Have a think also about what happens if you have bookings in the future and then the property owner decides to take back that house for their own personal use. What happens to those future guests? Who pays the cancellation fees? All that sort of stuff. So you've really got to keep that in mind. The one thing a lot of people are surprised to know is I'm not a super host. Okay, so I'm making super income, not a super host. It does not matter. Okay, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I would just say jump in. If you need some mentoring, get in touch with me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Look me up on Google, Julie George. Happy to help people, but just do it.
Great. Yeah. And I'll include everything in the show notes. I'll include the book. I'm excited to definitely read that as well. But Julie, man, it is just such an honor to be able to speak with you. This has been a very exciting interview. Being the largest person to have scaled up to 120, I think you're the first guest on the show to have such a large portfolio, and then to actually sell it, which is also a very interesting thing, because I know a lot of people have kind of like in the back of their mind, but for you to actually have those systems set in place, just very, very cool. I'd love to maybe get you on and maybe talk some more about some of the details when we get some more questions from the guests. But is there anything else that you'd like to share, Julie, before we sign off?
No, I just really appreciate the opportunity, Julian, because as you know, or as you can tell, there's no secrets here. I'm happy to share the information with people. If it means that it could change somebody else's life, fantastic. It's changed. Airbnb certainly changed my life. It's changed 18 other people's lives that work for me. It's changed hundreds of property owners that have benefited out of the income that we've had come in. And if I can hopefully teach anybody, one of your listeners or audience, or inspire them to do the same, job's done.
Well, you've definitely inspired me, Julie. Well, until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting. Hope you hosts benefited from the show. If you found value, please go on over to iTunes, leave us a review, and let us know what you enjoy about the show. If you'd like to talk to hosts that have been featured in these episodes as well as the community, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation.